Hi. Hi, everybody. Welcome back to our Writer Coven NaNoWIPCraft chat. It's been an interesting week, so we got lots of new things to kind of talk about. Today, Anna will not be with us, and we're kind of sad about that, but it's okay because it's actually good to take your time off if you need it. And so we're going to be talking about that a little bit as well because I had to take some time off. And so today it's going to be me and it's going to be my lovely witch sister, Anna. Hi, Anna.
Sarah?
Sorry, Sarah. I was thinking of Anna and I was just like, oh, crap. Yeah, of course that would happen to me. It's cool.
I'm now both Anna and Sarah tonight.
Of course. Yeah, that's absolutely it. But Sarah, of course. Friggin' love you. Don't worry. I don't forget you.
It's okay. How could you?
Never. But yeah, so how are you?
I'm good. I mean, I think there's kind of a general fluctuation between good and bad this year, but I've been feeling pretty good. And I spent a lot of time this weekend writing because I have another final project due tonight. And I always seem to do it at the last second. So, but it's a good time.
Yeah, I always kind of keep thinking that I would love to go to, get my MFA or something. And I'm like, yeah, but you were terrible the first time with the BFA. I don't even know what you would be like with an MFA, which is much harder and you have to write more stuff. And I'm like, yeah, maybe I shouldn't do that.
Yeah, I don't know what it is because it's not like I don't feel like I'm necessarily procrastinating, but I just can't seem to get the stuff done until right before, which is the curse of my existence. But
Yeah.
it's fun though. At least I've been able to write a lot of stuff I want to write. It's not like I'm being forced to write in a certain genre, which I think is kind of the horror story I've heard of some MFAs. But.
Yeah. No, that was actually when I was at SCAD for art, we had a couple of writing classes and I was so excited for them because, like you want to get writing and doing that stuff. And then, you had to write stuff that you weren't into. And I was terrible. I was basically getting stuff done like at the worst times, but whatever works, right? At least you're getting it done. Yeah. But so today what are you gonna be working on? You're gonna be working on your school stuff?
Yes, well, I'm writing the TV script. I think I've mentioned in other streams, so I have to have the script finished by the end of the night. Mm-hmm. And it's technically 3 acts, and I just finished the first act. So I still have to write the other 2 acts, but I think right now what I had as the first act is much longer. Mm-hmm. So I probably need to cut it up a bit differently. But also hopefully the rest of it won't take as long as the first chunk did.
Yeah.
So especially with you here to make me write.
Well, I mean, we talked about it last time, right? But it's been really interesting to see how much we actually get done while we're doing this live. We had people in our Slack chat mention it before as well, but it's one thing for you to say, I'm going to sit down and I'm going to write. And then like something comes up, you get up, you go do something else. And then it's another thing when you're actually here live and you can't actually step out. And I'm like, oh man, I actually like need to get something over there. And I'm like, but I shouldn't get up and go to this. And it's like something that simple that actually keeps you a little bit grounded and says like, yeah, maybe I should work on this. But yeah, it's going to be kind of exciting. If you guys are with us and you want to write, we are going to be doing that in a little bit. We probably won't be going for as long as we usually go. So, if you guys have any, I know we really freaking do. And I actually didn't get like any sleep tonight. And I was just like, oh my God, I'm going to be dying for this thing. And then, it turns out that you get your second win because you get kind of excited. So it's like, oh, okay, I can do this. We got this. Hi, Johnson. Thanks for being here like always. You are amazing, dude.
Our moral support.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we have some incredible people that always like come watch, and it's been really freaking fun, especially getting to know what everybody is doing, their own projects, talking about, what's good for them, what's good for us. Because it's one thing for us to be live like this. And then it's another thing for other people to come in and comment and for us to get to know like different writing styles and what everybody's up to. It's really, really cool. Sarah, you had a topic you wanted to talk about, and I think it was writing pressure. I think I'm like,
yeah, I was curious about writing under pressure, especially in regard to NaNoWriMo, which is obviously all about writing under pressure to fit a whole 50,000 words into 1 month. And I'm just curious if you feel like that's good for you as a writer, if you like do well at that, or if it's too much pressure. And anyone else watching is welcome to chime in as well. But like for me, my my mom always makes fun of me a bit because I always end up being the person that is trying to do the project at the last second and finished writing the book in like a week. And I'm sure part of me puts myself in that situation. I think I kind of thrive in it. Like as much as it sucks, it's for me, my cat is going to make a cameo appearance. Um, it's like, okay, well, I only have today to do it, so that means I have to do it. There's no other option. Like I have to get it done, which means I will get it done. And so I think it kind of puts like this new mindset that I must work on it and I can't sit here and be like, well, I don't want to do it because I have to do it.
yeah.
But I could see where that would be very overwhelming and stressful for people as well.
Yeah, absolutely. It's such a good point though, because I think one of the things that I mentioned before is that when I started Nano, a big thing for me was the actual clock, the unexisting clock, because even though you're doing Nano and you're actually, you know, like working with them, and it's still kind of made up, right? Like it's just a website that's telling you, hey, let's write for an entire month. And you can choose if you want to do it or not. And so it's interesting that a made up clock, a made up time, like, hey, a month exists, of course. 30 days exist, but you're putting that pressure on yourself. Like the website is telling you like, oh yeah, if you get these words down, you win. But that's such a weird thing because like you talk to other people about it and you're like, oh yeah, you win. And everybody's like, oh, so there are prizes involved. Like you're going to get something. And I'm like, oh no, it's like a personal win. Like you did this thing and it's like a really, really big thing. And a lot of people don't get that. And so I think that for a lot of us, all of this actually starts in our heads and it actually starts with pressure. So I do think that there's a good type of pressure and Nano is kind of a good thing to get you started.
Yeah. One, I feel right now I'm disappointed that I can't truly participate in Nano because I know that I work well in that environment and like I have the manuscript that I'm trying to finish. And so I'm already sitting here thinking, okay, well, in the 6 weeks that I have off from school, how much can I write? Can I make like my own NaNoWriMo in December?
Right.
So.
And we have Rosa, who just joined us. Actually, she joined in
Hi,
all
Rosa.
And she says that she's the exact same way as you are. And then she needs the deadline pressure. Yeah. And yeah, I mean, like I've done 10 nanos and I know I've mentioned that a lot lately, but the first few ones, like it was the pressure. That's what actually got me to do it. Otherwise it would have been like, yeah, sure, I can write. And I think in the beginning, especially with writing more than art, since I do both of them, I think that with writing, it also becomes this thing where, you know, like with a drawing, I can actually say like, okay, I'm going to sit down, I'm going to draw, but if I don't finish it today, I can come back. But I feel okay because it's a small piece, right? So if like I take a couple of days or more hours than I was thinking of, I can always come back and I don't feel bad. But when it's an entire book, you know, like you can be like, oh, today I'm going to sit down and I'm going to write and I'm going to like set apart this time for me to write. And then later on, you can basically be like, yeah, but I have other stuff to do. And it's such a big book. Who cares if you're doing it now? Maybe like if you take an entire year, it's okay. And it is. Of course it is. We're never, ever going to be the people to be like, hey, pressure yourself. But actually finding that little pressure, finding how much works for you without actually hurting you, without actually, you know, like changing your life to the point where you're not going out, you're not, you know, like socializing, you're becoming a recluse. So, like all that stuff comes with, you know, like aging with your project and becoming more aware of, you know, what you want to do with it. We did a convention a little while back And, you know, there were people who were just like, oh yeah, I wrote this book like 5 years ago. And now I decided that it's time to do something with it. And it's like, dude, that's completely cool, right? Like, who cares if it's something that you're not in a rush to do and you're having fun, stuff like that. It's totally cool, right? And let's see.
Yeah, I totally agree.
Says good stress has a word. It's called eustress. Wait, how do you say that? Eustress? Eustress?
That's what I would say.
It's powerful, but it's hard for me to channel effectively. And that's the key word right there. It's like, you got to learn how to do it. It takes time and it takes practice.
But I think there's also a variety of ways that you can kind of put that good pressure on yourself. Like, I mean, obviously NaNoWriMo is tracking your words for a set short period of time is one way. You know, having critique partners that are kind of accountability people for you is another. For me, I had started sending one chapter at a time to somebody to be like, okay, well, I need to write the next chapter so that they have this to read. And that's not something I would normally do, but it helped for that little span of time before I was too busy to keep it up. But so you never know, find the way that works for you.
Yeah. And how was your experience with that? Like actually doing the chapter by chapter? Because I know that for me, I can't really show people what I'm writing until a certain point. So how did you go by it? Did you actually go by like, you know, this is a second draft and that's like, you're editing, or were you actually writing? Like, how did it work? And what was the pressure like with that?
So I wouldn't normally do that because I'm the same way where I want to write my first draft and have a chance to read it and do my own edits on it before I have somebody else look at it, because of just, you know, being self-conscious, but then also practicality wise, like I want to get the edits out of the way that are going to be obvious to me from the start, before I give it to somebody else, so that then they can focus on the edits that they'll see that I missed. So there's that. And then, but this one is different because I was rewriting it / doing edits. So I wasn't writing from scratch, at least the first part of this. So I would rewrite the chapter and then send it. And then it would make me like have to keep going. So it worked. I mean, it was like 5 chapters that I made it through. But I might not have done the 5 chapters otherwise.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm reading Johnson's comment. Plus, like, I was just sending it to my girlfriend, not to a critique partner, which I think would be different. But even one of my other critique partners, she was kind of doing the same thing with me. But what we were doing was, it was more like a positivity pass almost. So she would write her chapter, send it to me, and then I would just go through and be like, oh, I love this. Like, this is so funny. And just say all the stuff that was fun, or I liked the idea, or like, you should continue with this concept, or that's really funny. And as just like a boost to keep going.
Yeah.
And yeah, like
also,
an acknowledgement that it was a first draft, but also it's fun.
Yeah. You have a question asking what your cat's name is.
My cat that I almost had to kick out. That cat's name is Espeon, like the Pokemon. She wants dinner, so that's why she's being annoying.
We were actually having talks about like getting a pet, and I'm just trying to like sweet talk my parents, like, let's get a cat, because a cat, you can't go wrong. And there were so many stories, and I'm just like, I can't get them. They don't want a cat. And I'm like, damn you. So, and then they were like, oh, what would you name her? And I'm like, I have no idea. Cause like, it hasn't, you know, who knows if it's going to happen or not, but you know, cats as assistants while you're live streaming, that's perfect. That's
yeah, they're super useful. But yeah, I don't normally think of a lot of names that I want to name cats, but I do want my future black cat, because different than my current black cat. I want to name Fenburn after the island of 3 Dark Crowns, because I think that's such a cool name. Yeah. And the whole thing in that is like, the queens wear black, and black's the main color. So Stay tuned for my future cat.
So many cats, just so many cats. Let's see. Johnson the cat, maybe. That's going to be a thing. Like if you stick with us long enough on Twitch, maybe we will get cats and we will name them.
We'll name you. It'll be like Patreon prizes or whatever.
Exactly.
Have a cat named after you.
Can you imagine that? Like you just get like 200 cats and you're just like, these are all my followers.
Maybe if I ran a shelter or something, then I could just name all the cats in the shelter. So I guess we have to open a shelter. Okay.
Exactly. Yeah.
A cat cafe / bookstore. And then we'll host nano events at the cat cafe / bookstore once COVID's over.
I like it. I would absolutely help you with that.
Kickstarter. Let's go.
Hire me. Let's see. We have Steph with us. Hi, Steph. Good to have you with us. And we also have Flexetto. Hi. Also, I tried talking to you last time, but I think you left too quickly. And I was like, no, how's your life? I need to know. But it's nice to have you here again. Yeah, wow. Let's see. Like I did mention before, we are going to be talking about pressure a little bit more as we go. And we are going to be talking a little bit about self-care a little bit more because I actually hurt myself this week.
So those two go hand in hand.
They go hand in hand. I know that some of the people that are actually watching us, they know that I had to take a break for 3 days and that I could not work on anything. And it's actually done me a lot of good, but has it been perfect? And it's one of the things that I had to do, that I had to learn how to listen to my body and understand what's going on. And I think I do understand a little bit better that this is a flare-up and it's actually something that is hitting me not only on my arms, but also in the rest of my body. So it's been interesting. It's been like, oh, this is actually going to be really good to talk about because I know so many of us go through things and we don't listen to ourselves and we just keep going. But I think it is a good time for us to do our first sprint.
Yeah, I'm ready. I think we're going to do 10 minutes like the last couple times.
Yeah, we actually did really good with the 10 minutes. And I'm going to be writing again, which I haven't done in 3 days. So I'm like, oh my God, this is going to be something.
It'll be a good warm-up.
Yeah. And warm-ups are really good too. Let's see. I think I was gaming last time, so I had the tab. That actually makes a lot of sense. But I hope you were having fun though, the gaming and stuff. And I hope you're doing good. Seriously, you should totally tell me how you're doing. As we do the sprints, we always mention this. We are going to go quiet. We do have some music to play for you guys again, but feel free to do whatever you need to. If you need to mute us, or if you just need to, do whatever you want, go for it. Again, you're never stuck doing what we're doing, but it's kind of fun to get loose and just kind of write a little bit. And anything that you want to say, Sarah, about sprinting, since we are absolute champions at it?
Yeah, I think at least from the people I can see are joining, most of us, I believe, know sprints, but I'll do a quick rundown for anyone else watching. So we're going to step away for 10 minutes, and we'll each of us and write, and I'll set a timer. So in the 10 minutes, the idea is to put away all distractions, focus on your writing or whatever else you're doing for 10 minutes. And then we'll come back afterward and say how we did. And you can share a word count if you like, and we'll chat for a bit and then do another one probably. So
probably. I like that probably. It's like, well,
keep them guessing.
We're not even sure.
We're like 10 minutes, we're done. Book finished, let's go. All right, and then feel free to ask questions or make comments and we'll get to them when we come back as well.
Yeah.
Or talk during it.
Seto says, have a great sprint and thank you so much. And let's do it. And if you guys don't hear music, please let me know. Because sometimes I accidentally mute stuff.
Yeah.
I'm
all right, so
at the same time.
I will be the mighty controller of the timer. So
Yes.
we will start our first 10-minute sprint in 3, 2, 1, right. All right, that's the end of the 10 minutes. I do love the sprint music. It's so soothing.
I did it all. I did it.
Yeah.
The problem is I have to remember to mute it and then unmute it and then play the music and then do the thing. I'm like, okay, good order.
You need like a guide.
Actually, I have like little pieces of paper with things that I have to do, but I should totally do one for this one because I'm like, wait, let me unmute that right now so I don't forget.
Yeah.
All right. So how do we do? How did you guys do? And Sarah, how did you do?
See, that was kind of a tough one for me. I wrote 130 words though, so I was starting to get into it. But when I first started, I was like, what? What's happening? And so I'm also struggling because there was something important that I just forgot to include. And now I'm like, do I need to go back and include it? Do I include it now? How does this affect what's happening if it's not there? Because it was kind of important. So I spent a lot of time staring at the screen like, I know kind of what's going to happen, but not how it's going to happen.
Yeah.
That dilemma.
I actually had to read. I didn't actually do any writing because weirdly enough, 3 days was enough for me to be like, wait, where did I leave off? And also, I will go into this a little bit more in a little bit. But one of the things that happened while I was taking a break is that I actually came up with answers for something that happens in the later books, but it completely changed a couple of things that are going to happen beforehand. So I was like, oh, this is good. So I actually had to go digging for something that is going to help me actually write with that. And let's see, Johnson had a comment. He said, since I fear all my projects, I've been using sprints lately to clean the house. It's productive, but not nearly as scary.
Yeah, that's good. And you get to listen to soothing music while you do it.
Yeah. I was supposed to pick more music for us, so we had like something a little bit different. But there's one that we actually played today that I was just like, I like that one a lot.
Yeah, it's so nice. I mean, maybe we'll just start having streams where all we do is like clean our house. Be productive together.
Dude, that would actually be like such a good thing. I mean, like, I need to clean like back there, and I'm just like, people can't see the dust. They can only see the pretty stuff. So I'm like, yeah, I can do that, right? Like, next time we're all gonna be cleaning, it's like, oh yeah, somebody's rating, like, cool. That's awesome. I'm just cleaning.
End of Nano got you like.
Since we were talking before about, pressure and everything else, we were actually mentioning that this is our fifth one. This is the fifth Coven Twitch stream that we're doing. And so I know what the pressure was like for me because I've been doing Twitch since July, I think it was. And so since you're new here and it's already like your fifth one, how does that pressure feel? Actually, I would love to know, seriously.
It's not so bad now. I mean, I was way more nervous when we first started these. Mm-hmm. I think it's helpful that we have some of the consistent people coming to watch. So it feels more like we're just all hanging out and having a conversation. Mm-hmm. But yeah, it's weird. But it's fun. I really enjoy it.
Yeah. Oh, that's good. Let's see. Rosa said that she wrote 244 words. I love Espeon.
She's going to get kicked out.
Actually, at some point, I was actually thinking of writing. I was like, oh, maybe I read enough that I can actually start writing. And then I just see her little like head pop in. And then she just like puts her paw on you. And I was like,
yeah.
Yes, that's what I want. I don't want to write. I just want to watch the cat.
Yeah, they're distracting.
We have a superstar with us.
Well, and another thing with being on stream is I feel like every time with the sprint, or at least the first sprint we do, I start out and I'm like, I need to do something. Like, I can't just sit here. Johnson says that cat rules, honestly. I'm glad you like my cat. I like her too. I'm not trying to be mean.
Also, I do like the honesty of you telling us that, like, yeah, the first one is always kind of like, should I be doing something?
Yeah. Rosa did 244, so that's great.
Yeah.
Good job. She was sprinting with me earlier today too, which I appreciated.
Oh, that's right. I actually had to set aside the Slack chat this week as well, which felt weird because we've been talking to people every day and we've been talking about writing, we've been talking about the story. But the problem is that when I needed that break for my hand, I also needed it from the phone. And the entire time I was like dying because I was like, I want to talk to everybody. And then it didn't happen. I was like, damn it.
Yeah, I get that. I had to check out a bit, especially this past week, because there was just too much between work and school, and sometimes trying to keep up with all of the messages means staring at my phone a lot, which I need to limit a little more. So if I'm ever not around for a while, that's probably why. But it's still fun to like see all the notifications pop up and know that you guys are having fun, hopefully.
Yeah, and let's see, Seto has a question. He said that he's been missing for a while. So his question is about how did we find this talk show group? Is there a big story that I missed? So yeah, I think I didn't really talk about this much when I was just doing the art ones, the art streams, but I've had this group, how long have we been together, Sarah? Like 2 years? This is our second year, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
So I do writing and art. And basically when I started doing Nano, I started going to conventions, I think. Wait, was that? No, that wasn't a convention.
Workshop.
I went to a writing workshop, and that's where I actually met two of the friends that we're missing today. And we just got along great. It was the first time that I was actually going to something like that and talking to other writers, because I know plenty of artists. It's interesting the difference between artists getting together and writers getting together. I feel like in the art world, it's a little bit harder for you to actually find friends that will let you in and that you can do something like this with. Especially because, like, if you have different styles, if you have different, like just time projects, anything like that can get in the way. But when you find writers, I don't know how your experience has been, Sarah, but like for me, it's like, it's just an open invitation for the most part, because it doesn't really matter what you're writing. You can do it together. So like, even if I'm writing a children's book and somebody else is writing something for adults, like there's no clash. You can just sit down and you can write with them. And so we met Sarah a little while after that, and we became a group, and we've actually been doing stuff for Twitter. We've been doing like little games. Back when they were more popular, we mentioned this before, but it was just so good working together that we kind of wanted to make it a little bit bigger. And so the talk show is actually between friends that we've been friends for 2 years. And it's been amazing.
I mean, even longer, because we made Writer Coven in October 2 years ago. So we've been friends even longer. So it's great. Well, I cherish you.
Yeah. Yeah, I think you came around like in April, and then we started
in July, I think. Or like, yeah, because I met you like at the very beginning of July or like the end of June, because then you asked me to do Camp Nano, which was the July portion. And then you invited me to the Slack group like at the end of that. So
I attached very quickly.
I felt honored. But
I attached so quickly. I was just like, no, wait, she must join us.
But I agree about it being kind of open-ended. I mean, I think it gets more particular if you're actually going to be exchanging critique, because obviously you want somebody to be critiquing you that knows the genre. But if it's just writing together, or like having that moral support, or the accountability that we were talking about, I think that it doesn't matter. And even if you have a critique partner that you are exchanging with, like my main critique partner, I mean, we'll just text each other and be like, hey, do you want to Skype tonight and just work on whatever we're working on? And so we'll just Skype for like an hour and either talk through whatever the other person needs to brainstorm, or both just write at the same time, kind of like what we're doing here. Yeah. So that's nice. And like, you guys are, it's not just writing. I mean, obviously you guys are my friends outside of that too, but it's nice to be friends with people who understand all of the writing feelings and struggles.
And plus there is the fact that because we were doing, like the Twitter games, we were already looking for other ways to like, what can we do to reach out to other people? And so I guess when I started streaming art, I always knew that at some point I would love to do stuff with writing. Like it clicks, right? And so I was kind of like, hey, do you guys want to do this with me? And it was awesome. I mean, this is our 5th one and we're having a ton of fun. And actually, I will mention this now because I think it's a good time, but I won't be able to do the art ones this month just because I'm taking care of my hand. And when you're writing a lot and drawing, it can actually take a really big toll. And so that was something that I had to figure out for myself and be like, okay, I'm not going to do this, but it's still good to be like, hey, let's talk about writing. Let's talk about, like the other thing that I love. And who better to do it with than my Coven sisters?
I'm enjoying it. It's so fun. Let's just keep going. But I know Johnson's probably already gone, but he said he had to leave, so bye.
Bye, Johnson. Thanks for being here again, dude. Like,
here in spirit works for us too.
I know. He's always there. It's awesome. But yeah. Okay. Should we do the next sprint? Think it's a good time for it?
Yeah, it works for me.
Yep.
Gotta get this done.
And when we come back, we can talk a little bit more about self-care, and we can also talk a little bit more about pressure, because I think that's a really, really good one. Oh, and Justin was here. Bye, dude.
Good luck with the rest of your chores and groceries and all of that.
Absolutely. All right, let's get ready to start then.
Yeah. So starting another 10-minute sprint in 3, 2, 1, right. that's the end. One of those times I was like, just getting into it. Give everyone a second to come back, but
I always say something before I unmute myself.
You're fine. How did you do with that?
I actually got some writing in. Didn't do much, but let me see. I think maybe I got 100 and almost 200 words, actually. That was good.
Hey, that's good. Yeah. I think I did like 170.
That's good. We're getting stuff done.
Continue. How does it feel after 3 days off?
Weird. Well, okay, so I think this has to be said a little bit about how we were talking that doing it live on, stream can be a little bit difficult. And especially because I haven't been writing, doing it on a stream is also kind of one of those things where you're like, well, it has to get done. But it's also weird pressure because you're like, well, I do want to get back into it, but also I'm probably not going to get back to it in the way that I want to. But it was good. It was actually good to actually get some more planning down because that's kind of what I was doing. And I finally found the the stuff that I wanted. And so I'm going to be able to get more writing in, especially with the next one.
Good. I kind of hit a roadblock that, I don't know, maybe you can help me with if you want. But so I have this one character who had basically made a potion that can like knock someone out, like put them to sleep.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was like, well, maybe I'll use this in this little fight scene that's happening, but I cannot think of a way from a distance to use this potion against somebody. Like, so if you have any ideas, you or anyone watching, like a vial of potion, how can I knock out people who are not right next to this person?
Right.
So I'm like, could use like a dart, but then she'd have to know how to shoot a dart. Which might be outside of her level of expertise.
See, I'm wondering if maybe like it depends on the character, I guess. Like if your character is somebody who learns quickly or maybe just like needs to do something quickly. And I don't know why the first thing that came to my head is kind of like what are they called? Like water balloons.
So I kind of like
so maybe it could be something that, like because you can make not a bomb, but something that can kind of explode on a person. And maybe if you make it small enough, and then you have to kind of like think about like, well, balloons have to be filled into a certain point so they blow up, but then like maybe that's too much potion and then it can become like a whole thing. So I guess it kind of depends on what your character is like.
And then I was like, maybe it's like some sort of perfume thing. That
would actually be a fun one. Yeah. Like, okay, so I would love a perfume one, but that could also backfire so bad because it could come back on her depending on the wind.
Yeah, true. Oh man.
Okay.
I spent like half the sprint trying to figure this out.
That's actually fun. Like that's such a fun problem to actually try to solve. I don't know. I think like a bomb, or I mean, it depends on the age as well. But like, how many like kids stories use what are they called? Shoot, slingshots.
Slingshot.
Like so you can actually make a slingshot. You can actually.
Yeah, but then it's also hard because it's like maybe I want it to be subtle so they like don't realize what hit them or whatever. Like if it's magic or something,
right?
Which takes away like a bomb hitting them.
But I mean, imagine also if I guess it kind of depends like how much you need of it for it to actually like have an effect. And that could actually be like a fun storyteller thing too, because maybe you need a certain amount. So it makes it a problem because, if it's too little, then maybe you can only like have a certain amount of time to do what you need to do. And so maybe you can have like bigger bombs where if it hits the person, it doesn't matter because it's literally going to knock them out for enough time that even if they're like, wait, something hit me, you know?
Yeah.
Or maybe if something's as small as like, I don't know, a raindrop, but you can only get like a couple of seconds. So fun to think about.
Yeah. So
if anybody has ideas, please send them our way.
Out. Did anyone else write during our sprint? Feel free to let us know how you did. Otherwise, I think we were going to talk about self-care, especially usually after the week you've had. But you did the right thing, and you did the self-care.
And it was hard.
Yeah, I'm sure.
I got to tell you, especially because I actually had a moment where I got really upset, like really, really upset, because writing this book this year has actually been so much fun. I don't think I've actually had that much fun with writing, like maybe ever. Because it was something where I was just like, oh my God, like, let me sit down and get as many words out. But I wasn't forcing myself. I didn't need, the invisible timer to be like, no, you have to get this down now. So it was just something that I wanted to sit down and do. And so I kind of hit that horrible moment where I wanted to write so bad that having to step back and be like, yeah, don't do this, or you're going to hurt your body to the point where you're probably like, if this week was hard because you had to step back, imagine if you have to do it for another week or maybe like the entire month. And so I think there was a moment that I actually like got really close to crying because I was so frustrated. I was like, don't do this to me right now. But it also helped me understand that, what I said was true, because sometimes you say it, but you don't actually feel it. So if you tell yourself, like, if you do this now, maybe next week you'll be better and you'll be able to get back. Like, I wasn't feeling it because, it's fear of the unknown. You don't know if, what you're going to do is going to be what actually helps you get better, get healthier. So maybe this could last 3 days, or maybe this could actually last like the entire month. Right. And so taking that time away kind of means like, well, what if I do this and I lose enough time that, I can't get back? But one of the things that did help, and somebody else in our Slack actually mentioned it before, but they said that they were actually ahead enough that if they needed, they could take that break. And I was actually 4 days ahead. So taking 3 wasn't a hit.
Yeah, that's pretty incredible though. But I'm glad that you did that. I mean, obviously you don't want it to continue even longer.
I love her so much.
I know, I'm like blanking on what I was going to say. So
wait, that's Anna. That's her spirit. Just being like, no, I want to be here too.
How did you do? But yeah, it's really hard when you, like, writing's hard in general, but then there's a certain type of despair when you really want to write and you can't for whatever reason. And like, I'm sure it's really frustrating when it's a physical thing holding you back. Have you ever been able to try something like dictation to like tell the story out loud? I feel like it'd be kind of hard, but I don't know if that would work at all. Yeah. It's what?
That one actually comes up a lot. I started having trouble with my hands. It's not the first time. I mean, like, I'm an artist for my day job. And so I actually do get frequent problems with it. But when you combine it with writing, then it just becomes like this double whammy, right? Like, there's nothing you can do. It's going to hurt. And if you're typing, it's going to hurt even more. And so my dad, actually, a couple of years ago, he told me, he was just like, hey, why don't you try to dictate things? And so it became a weird thing because, and I've mentioned this before, but English isn't my first language and I write in English. And there are things that come with that where it's like, yeah, I talk like this. I don't have to stop and translate. I don't have to, like, I love her. I really do. But yeah, English isn't a problem for me. I know what I'm saying. I know what I'm doing. But when you actually have to try and write it, it's a completely different feeling. Like, what's in my brain just doesn't translate the same way when I'm talking, when it comes to story, than it does when I'm actually typing it out. So it becomes a frustration of a different sort where you literally just want to have that feeling of typing. You just want to sit down and do it. And another thing that I actually found out is that there's a couple of things that I don't know how to say out loud. I know the names of punctuations because we do use some of them. But if I have to say like this character did this, comma, like that comma is actually going to affect me to a point where I'm just like, I stop what I'm saying. And I'm like, wait, is that a comma? Is that a period? And so it's very distracting. I tried it even for messaging, and it was so distracting that I was just like, I'm going to use swipe because then I'm not typing, but at the same time, it's just like I can keep it, steady without actually moving and just do, whatever I need to. But that's actually a good question. And for you, since English is your first language, how does that work for you? Is it something that you feel comfortable with? Is it something that you've tried?
I haven't really tried it. I should probably give it a shot at some point, especially when my hands start to feel uncomfortable. But I feel like it's distracting too to hear yourself talk, or like it's easier for me to just kind of start to zone out, or maybe even feel, I guess maybe this would depend on what you're using to dictate, but like the pressure of, like, I've used voice memos before, and it's like, oh, well, you can see the time going by as you're waiting to record yourself. But maybe if it was actually a dictation, like if I'm texting and do voice to text, then there'd be less of that pressure. But I totally agree with you about the actual physical sense of typing, which is why when I do revision, sometimes I'll actually retype out the scene that I'm working on, because I'll find that it's easier to come up with something new or like fix what I'm working on if I'm actually typing it out. But I think maybe it would be too close to home if I'm speaking out loud, like harder to put yourself in another person's head when you're hearing your own voice. But I'm not fully against it. I would definitely give it a shot. So if anyone's done it, I would like to hear about your own experiences or programs you use, etc. Because
actually,
it makes sense.
In my very first year of Nano, when I had no idea what I was doing, one of the things that I did do is that they actually have a forum that you can reach out to other writers and you can be like, hey, can you help guide me? And the person, I picked, I think like 3 or 4 people to help me because I didn't know if it was good to get more than one. I didn't know if people were going to be doing different things, saying different things. But one of the people that was actually trying to help me, I don't remember the case specifically, but that's the only way that she wrote. It was through, like, she had to speak it out because I think she had problems with her hands. And I know that Rosa has mentioned it before, but she actually has, like nerve damage in her hands. And so, sometimes she mentions that her hands aren't even responding the way that she wants them to. And so stuff like that can be so frustrating because, that there's alternative ways that you can do it, but what feels right to you, it's so hard to break. It's so hard to break. Plus, especially with, like voice things, if you're not recording your voice, if you're not recording the way that you're saying it, when I tried dictating, like it would change certain words, or sometimes like after it got the sentence right, and I'm already on the second sentence, then it like changes what the other sentence was saying because it was just like, oh, because of the second one, maybe this is what you meant. And I'm like, no, that's not what I meant at all.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure it's practice too. I mean, obviously we're so used to doing it one way. I suppose if you have the right program that maybe doesn't autocorrect you constantly, and you actually spend time doing that and get into your comfort zone with that, it's probably a different experience. But yeah. So
Absolutely.
Interesting self-care technique. We should try it out sometime. Maybe.
Yeah. But again, if you need to take some time off, if you need to do something and it's still frustrating, it's okay. You're not alone. So many of us have gone through it. We have, to handle it in whatever is best for us. What works for one person doesn't work for another person. I will say this, in our Slack chat, we did share yoga, like wrist techniques, right? And last night, since I have been taking care of my body and my arms have stopped being numb, which was a really big problem for me, I was just like, oh, maybe this is the time for me to actually do wrist stretches. And then like, I think I maybe did it a little too hard. And I was like, oh my God, maybe I like undid everything that I was trying to do. And so that was kind of scary. So again, take your time. Like this is something that only you are going to know what you need, what needs to be done when and to what. So, and Rosa said that she tried dictation once, but it only worked properly if I spoke with an American accent. That's a big one. That's actually a big one.
Yeah, these dictation systems really want us to be speaking American English, apparently.
It's weird. Like, and especially because like, you know, it's a joke, but everybody says the whole like tomato, tomato, or, you know, like potato, potato, stuff like that. Like, but with these things, like they can actually get in the way. Like sometimes you'll say a word perfectly, but the person who programmed it, you know, like said it a different way. So the system gets it a different way. And so it's kind of a mess. Yeah.
Plus, I mean, even just texting normally, I will write a word that is a word and it'll autocorrect to a completely different word multiple times. And I'm like, this word exists.
Especially if you're
not
swearing.
spelling it wrong. Right. Well, it's funny to see what it autocorrects to, like random things that you've apparently said a lot.
Yeah, yeah. That one does it a lot with me. And I misspell a lot of things. So it keeps the misspelled words. It's fun. But yeah, let's see. I think we are up for our very last sprint. Oh no, Sarah froze. Also, if you're joining in for the first time, this actually happens sometimes. And I get to be the sole person running the stream for the second time. But yeah, if you guys are going to be doing one more sprint with us, we will be doing it for another 10 minutes. And then we're probably going to end it here. If you guys have any comments or anything that you want us to know, then this is the time to do it. We will be ending it after this. But I do need to get Sarah back first. It's actually funny because when we have Anna with us, then it becomes one thing where it's like, oh, okay, I can keep talking to somebody. There we go.
I'm plugged into the internet.
It's just, it just happens, you know, it's a ghost just like messing with you. All right, so we are going to do our very last sprint of the stream, I guess, of the day, of the stream. And we're ready?
Yep. So,
all right.
3, 2, 1, right. End of the 10 minutes.
Got it. Ta-da!
Welcome back. Let's see, I need to count what I did. 206.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I ended mid-sentence. I love that when I come back to it.
It's actually kind of fun when you leave it mid-sentence. I don't know if it is for everybody, but for me, it's one of those things where it's like, I know how I want to end it. So like, I know that when I come back, I'm going to get immediately to writing instead of just being like, what do I do now?
Sometimes even if it's half the sentence, I can't remember what the sentence was going to end with. So that's like, I knew I had an idea, but.
So how did you guys do? Whoops. Nobody saw that. It's cool.
Also, I'm just now seeing Rose's question about the cat sabotaging me. We'll blame her. We'll blame her.
Yeah. Trickster, that one. Oh, man. Yeah, I actually didn't get that many words in, but I found something that I was looking for, which is actually going to help me with the rest of my writing. Because even though we are going to end it after this, I will be sprinting probably with our channel or our Slack channel. Well, I know you need to get stuff done. So it's like, yeah, it's okay. We're going to keep writing. We're going to keep working, and it's going to be cool. Let's see. Rosa said, I've heard of writers using that as a technique, leaving things mid-sentence so it's easier to start the next day. So I wasn't making it up.
Yeah, I've definitely heard that. And I think a lot of times I'll also, end in the middle of a certain scene, because then it's like, okay, well, in theory, I can pick right back up with that scene, as opposed to like if you have the start of a chapter, then oh, now I have to start from scratch almost. But I just know lately I've had a lot of the mid-sentence moments where I'm like, what was I even saying?
But I think that this year, especially with like how enthusiastic it's been for me to write, I actually do feel like I did that a lot. Like I actually left it in a scene that I didn't finish it, so I was eager to come back and finish it. So it's been a really good tactic. Like I have to say, it's been actually a lot of fun.
Yeah, I like it. It helps.
Rosa, how'd you do? And how did everybody else do? Yeah, I feel like every time we do this, it's a little bit different, right? Like I feel like the first one that we did, it was surprisingly good to actually like get writing. And then the other times, like they were all different, very, very different. And this one, because I was, like not writing for a while, I do feel like the difference in this one has just been that like maybe I do kind of feel like I want that private moment of getting back into it like by myself, which is interesting because I actually do like doing these sprints. I do like being here with everybody, but it's kind of nice to know that about yourself, right? That you know what you need to do for you to actually get back to it. Or, like if you need that break, if you need to do it for yourself and stuff like that. But yeah.
Yeah, I feel like this is better for those moments when you're really into it and you already kind of like know what you're doing, and it's fun to just focus and write. Like right now, I'm writing basically the climax, so it's a little easier to kind of get into the mindset. But
yeah,
and I would probably feel the same if I were you.
Well, it's a thing, but I don't think I've ever had that experience before. So it's first time for everything. But it's interesting because we're going to have 2 more sessions because we have 2 more Sundays before Nano ends. And so I guess in the last one, we can probably do like, the whole thing where we talk about like how we felt, especially doing this kind of thing for the first time and seeing what will come of it if we're going to be doing other things as well. But yeah, it's exciting. Every single one has been very, very different, but it's been good.
Yeah, it's fun. It's something to look forward to as well. Rosa says, I forgot to check what the word count was when I started, but I think somewhere between 200 to 300 words.
So nice.
That's good. That's awesome. That happens to me all the time where I don't even remember where I started. So.
Yeah, we were actually talking about Scrivener having like different ways to count. So you can actually count your session or you can count like the whole thing. And I actually like using the counter for my whole thing because I think if I had daily ones, like, I don't know, maybe if I hit that target, I would feel less inclined to like keep going. But I don't know. I actually haven't tried it. Maybe I should for the future. And maybe we can talk about it next time if we do try different things. Also, you did mention, but I don't remember if it was actually while we were on stream or beforehand, that you said that, you wanted Oh, I think it was in stream. You were thinking about like how the pressure of this month is really good for you to work, and like you wanted to be doing nano and not just like schoolwork. So future things, since we do have like still so much time, we still have half the month to go. Do you feel like you're gonna try to like set some time aside to do something else, or is schoolwork all you need right now, or like all you're allowing yourself to pressure you? um like, what are your future plans for the rest of this month?
Yeah. Well, my classes actually end this upcoming week, so
Oh,
I should be done with schoolwork. So in theory, I have a week left of November after that. So I might try to focus and get back into writing if I can, or maybe I'll take that week as like a break away from creating and then maybe tackle it again in December. Like I was joking about my own NaNoWriMo.
that'd be a good one. Seriously.
Yeah. So that's, I think I want to do it. So we'll see how I feel, I guess, once I get through these projects. Like if I feel drained or if I'm kind of energized to finally do what I've wanted to do. But I had intended to spend my last break between classes writing a lot, and then I got sick, so I didn't. So I'm hoping that this will go better.
Yeah.
And I can actually focus on that.
Yeah. But also mentioning the break thing might be good for you, because schoolwork is completely different.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely need a break as well to just like watch TV, read books. Like I have some books that I've been really wanting to read. But in some ways, as long as I'm not just pushing myself to do it and actually want to do it, writing the things I want to write can be a break as well.
Yeah.
Like a mental break. But
Absolutely.
do you think you're going to keep up the writing after November, or is it going to be like just doing it for this month and then stopping for a while?
Well, one of the things that I've always used Nano for is like that time of the year where you literally stop and do this thing, right? And this year, because of the pandemic, because of so many other things, I haven't done any writing at all. And it's interesting because I was dying to get back to it. I do want to get to the point where I start querying people, and it was supposed to be this year, but so much got uprooted and got moved and got, so I don't know what next year is going to hold, which is interesting because we can say that about any year, but this year with the pandemic, with like so much happening for the first time in our lifetimes, I do feel like my idea would be to try to finish this book now and keep writing longer. I feel like I should have done it more this year and I didn't get to do it. I think I thought about doing, camp when they came around, but I didn't even try, which for me is actually kind of normal. I don't know, camp just doesn't capture me in the same way. But I feel like I really like the energy that I'm having right now. So it would be hard for me to just like full on stop. And I didn't know about this. I didn't actually I haven't looked yet, but I don't know if maybe if you finish one book for Nano, if you can start another one, because now that they actually redid their website, I think maybe that's possible. And part of me was like, should I start a second book?
Yeah, well, I was wondering that too, because I think you can make a project outside. And Rosa says that she wants to join a December Nano, so this might happen. December, January. Well, better December.
Actually, I think Katie wants to join us too.
Yeah, so this might happen. Maybe we won't do 50,000. Maybe we'll do like a smaller goal, like 25, 30,000. But we'll talk because I want to write. I want to get back into it. So I would totally be down. And at least 3 people. That's enough for an event.
Hey, it's amazing how much energy you get, even just one-on-one with a person. Like, Rosa knows this. We are always singing her praises because holy crap, Rosa is always like, do you guys want to sprint? Do you guys want to sprint?
Yeah.
That much energy with that one person is like, yes, let's do it. Let's actually get going with this. And it's been super helpful. I really, really like what that does to us. So, hey, 3 people might be more than, than half the world with like Nano in November.
We'll make sure it happens. That we each do it.
Absolutely. All right, guys. That was actually our last sprint. And I think we actually covered this topic a lot, especially the self-care one. I do think that the pressure one is something that we'll also come back to, especially because we are getting to we are starting the third week of Nano. And I feel like the second week is always really hard for a lot of people, but the third week is when people start picking back up. Or, like life happens, so many things can happen with the third week, and it can kind of be magical or it can kind of be sucky. But I think it's a really good place for us to, think about it and see what we'll want for the next talk that we're going to do. And also just to keep it in mind and see how things change for you from one week to another. Mm-hmm. Right. But yeah, thank you guys so much for being with us. We really hope that you guys are enjoying this as much as we are. And I will give one more reminder that I won't be doing the art streams on Thursday because I'm resting my hand. So it's for a good cause. But I really do hope that you guys are going to keep joining us for Sundays because this one is going to keep happening. And I love doing it with my sister. So
yeah, it's fun. Thanks for joining us for sure.
All right, everybody. Bye.
Good luck writing.
Good luck writing. Yes, ma'am. Bye, guys.